Okay, so playoff time is here. We know who the playoff teams are, and right now there is deep discussions leading up to the this weekend's matchups of the New England Patriots, who are the most popular topic right now. Not Lamar Jackson, not the San Francisco 49ers, the New England Patriots, and their supposed end of a dynasty, I guess, countdown that's at the top of the screen. That's the topic of discussion. And I saw like the first couple of minutes of this, and Jason Whitlock is going to start it off with a question of either or. Are the Patriots the 11th best team in the are the Patriots the 11th best team in the playoffs, or is Tom Brady the 11th best quarterback that's in the playoffs currently? And I think that's such a loaded question. He's just looking for people to say, well, if it's out of this or that, I think Brady is the 11th best quarterback. I think people are getting carried away with this. They get carried away with this every year, but I think people are getting carried away with this, man, because I'm not saying New England will win the Super Bowl this year, man, but when are we going to stop this, man? Like, when are we going to stop this, let things play out the way? Like, if you're this eager for New England to be done, just wait until they have their game. If they lose, just wait until they have their game and have all the fun you want. I mean, it's funny how when New England loses a game, every question is, if this has been like this for the last 6 years, for the last maybe 6, 7, 8, somewhere around there, man. It's been like this. Every time New England will lose a game, everybody questions, is this the end? Is it finally over? Is this it? Like every year, it's been like this for a very long time. And if you wish for something long enough, eventually it's gonna happen. It's like they say, a broke clock is right twice a day. Like, it's eventually going to happen. I mean, you're playing against the clock. I mean, New England can't keep this up forever. Eventually, Tom Brady's going to retire. Eventually, everything is just going to stop. They're going to move on. They're going to move on to the next era of Patriots football, whether it's with Brady. Whether it's with Belichick or without Belichick, they're going to move on at some point. We all know this. You have to be an idiot to believe that this shit will last forever. But until that happens, man, the level of hate and the level of just animosity, it seems like these these commentators and these analysts have towards Tom Brady and the Patriots dynasty. I mean, they're looking for anything to discredit him. I mean, true greatness, like a dynasty like this, we will never see this again, ever. I honestly believe we'll never see this level of dominance in any sport. Just like we would never see what the Yankees were able to accomplish, just like we won't see what the UCLA Bruins were able to accomplish back in, the 50s, 60s, and back when they were winning titles. The level of dominance. When Coach K leaves Duke, I don't know if we'll ever see dominance like that again. Sorry for that. This has to be appreciated. True great. Even if you don't like the players, even if you don't like the coaches, true greatness should be appreciated. Because you can live the rest of your life, and and close to your deathbed, man, you could think like, I've seen some of the greatest things that history had to offer. And when you discuss sports, I will appreciate the fact that I was able to watch New England go on such a terrific tear throughout the NFL. In a league where salary cap, free agency, it is designed to mimic parity. To encourage parity. It is designed to not have one team completely run everything, and New England has surpassed it. I don't care if they do cheat. To be honest, every football team cheats in some way. It's just New England is successful with it, so people are more they're more inclined to disagree with them cheating because they tend to win off of it. But I don't care about the cheating because, I mean, just to see this level of dominance, I don't think we'll ever see this in the NFL again. So it should be appreciated. I just went on for 5 minutes. But let's get this started, man.
All right, joining the desk now are Fox Sports NFL analysts TJ Houshmandzadeh and Bucky Brooks. Marcellus, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
All right, which playoff statement is more true? Patriots are the 11th best team, or Brady is the 11th best quarterback?
Since it's holiday time and I need this check to clear, I got to answer the question. Boy, these are just two impossible choices right here. But I'm going to say that the Patriots are the 11th best team. But in reality, they are the 5th best team in these playoffs. And Tom Brady is the 4th best quarterback in these
Wow.
playoffs. Yeah. Real talk. I don't know what happened to you yesterday, Bucky. What were you doing to get
Hold on, I want you to explain both.
All right, let's think about some of these quarterbacks that's in the NFL playoffs right now. Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, who else? Ryan Tannehill, Deshaun Watson, Jimmy Garoppolo, who else? Carson Wentz. Those guys I just named, just those guys right there. There's a couple of them, but I'm not going to go through every last single team. Those names right there, those are the quarterbacks who have never, since they've been in the league, led their team to a Super Bowl. Carson Wentz has a Super Bowl championship. That was thanks to Nick Foles. Nick Foles was able to finish the job. Carson has not been able to replicate what he was able to do his sophomore year since. Thanks to Nick Foles, they have a Super Bowl championship. Jimmy Garoppolo, I believe he's actually a 2-time Super Bowl champion. It was the Super Bowl against Seattle and the Super Bowl against Atlanta. And who was the quarterback of those teams that played some of the greatest fourth quarter quarterbacking we've seen in a long time? Tom Brady. Thanks to Tom Brady, Jimmy Garoppolo has a couple of Super Bowls. And that's about it. Nobody else that I've named has able to take their team to the promised land, at least get them there. Patrick Mahomes came close, man, but yeah, he just couldn't get the job done. And people want to blame the defense as the reason why the Kansas City Chiefs couldn't win. Maybe if they would have scored more in the first half, maybe that would have gave them a little bit more leeway going into the second half. But let's get to it.
Okay, all right, let's be real. Playoff time is a different atmosphere, different mindset. I trust Drew Brees, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson just because of how phenomenal he was this year to translate that into playoff success. I don't trust anybody more than Tom Brady, but I could put some people.
And I got to say this real quick. It's not that I don't think Lamar Jackson is a good quarterback. I think the system that John Harbaugh put around him exemplifies what he does well and is able to show off. And he's able to produce at an extremely high level because of it. You got to thank Jim Harbaugh for that if you're Lamar Jackson. If it wasn't for Jim Harbaugh going all in on this kid during the draft, even the commentators during the draft was like, all right, they're building this team around this kid. And they built the perfect system around this kid.
Close to him. I could put a Russell Wilson close to him. I could put an Aaron Rodgers close to him.
There's no way you'll have an Aaron Rodgers and a Drew Brees on the level of a Tom Brady, but you'll have Russell Wilson behind him. Russell Wilson, to be honest, has to be he's the best quarterback in the NFL. I'm sorry. I believe he's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. I mean, you're talking about a guy who, for years, have had questionable offensive line. Ever after the Super Bowl season he had, every season after that, once they got rid of Max Unger, when they sent them to New Orleans, he has had a questionable offensive line every single season. And Russell Wilson has done extraordinary things in Seattle with the subpar talent. When they lost Percy Harvin, when they lost Golden Tate, they had to make do with Doug Baldwin, turn him into a star. When they got rid of him, you haven't seen Doug Baldwin since. Now they have Tyler Lockett. They went out, they picked up Josh Gordon off the street, until he eventually got suspended. Played magnificently. I mean, Russell Wilson is that guy, bro. He is that guy. I just gotta say, I don't think he's had the right pieces. They haven't been able to replicate what they were able to do with Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor and Marshawn Lynch. They weren't able to replicate it. I think that's the reason why we haven't seen him at that level again. But let's not get it messed up. Russell Wilson is, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the NFL. If we're talking about talent, his ability to do different things, and his ability to pass the ball. See, we're talking about Lamar Jackson, one of those quarterbacks that can run and pass. Was Patrick Mahomes, his ability to run and pass. I mean, what about Russell Wilson? I mean, this dude is doing it at a high level.
I could even say, you know what, the way that young Jimmy GQ has been looking of late, I could put him close to him, but no one surpasses him but those three. Let's talk about the teams. San Francisco, New Orleans, Baltimore, KC. Done. Who else you think that you trust more than the New England Patriots in playoff mode? So that's why I say fourth best quarterback, fifth best team. But more than that, I think everyone is looking at the Patriots for the wrong reasons. Everyone's looking at the wrong thing. It's not their offense that has ever led this team to Super Bowl championships.
And the point Marcellus is about to make here makes sense. It's something I didn't even take into consideration, but it is a very good point. That defense is a huge part of why they have these Super Bowl rings. The defense. Now, there were a couple years I remember where the defense didn't play so well during the regular season, and I think they may have won 1 or 2 Super Bowls with a defense that wasn't really. But if it came down to them having a top-ranked defense or a top-ranked offense, which had a better shot at getting New England the title, it was the defense.
Be real. Tom Brady's won 3 regular season MVPs. How many Super Bowls he win in those years? Donut. 0. This is a team that, when they had the best offense, went 0-4 in Super Bowl opportunities. But they went 2 of 4 when they had the best defense. And this defense this year is better than any of the defenses that they've ever paraded into the playoffs. I'm accurate. Nat Turner over here tripping, but I'm going to let him speak.
I'm not tripping. I just don't understand why Jason decided to hedge his bet when he said the 11th best quarterback. When it's clear and apparent he is the worst quarterback in the playoffs. And I know you put the graphic up about Josh Allen and his passer rating at 85.3. That's why he's the worst. But Josh Allen scores touchdowns with his legs. Yeah. He has a different dimension that Tom Brady doesn't have. So when you...
Tom Brady, at any point in his career, has never needed his legs to win him Super Bowls, to win him games. He's never needed to do that. Tom Brady is a constant reminder to just fans and the media members that even though we're moving into that phase of football where it's more about the mobile quarterback now, he's constantly proving that you don't need to be a mobile quarterback to win. To be honest, I think the mobility is a huge knock against some of these quarterbacks not being able to get the job done. I don't know. Look, Josh Allen is a pretty decent quarterback. I was high on him going into the season. I started to change my opinion about him because I didn't think that this kid really had. But then I eased up and I wanted to see what he did this year. He has played well, very well. And that team has surprised a lot of people. But in order for me to believe Josh Allen could get the job done, he has to do it. There's no way you can just... I believe this kid can win one day. He has to do it, man.
Looking at the playoff field, and let's just take the name off the back of the jersey. If we just looked at number 12 for the team in blue, he's the worst quarterback in the playoff.
I hate that. Let's forget about the name. Let's forget about the players. Let's just compare their stats. Now, which quarterback do you want? Because if you're trying to say that statistically Josh Allen is a better quarterback, I mean, even though Brady is a worse quarterback, they have a better record. Now, some could say, oh, that's the defense. Well, Buffalo got a pretty good defense.
And if you would quit being scared of the boogeyman and just say it, then you'll feel better. Because when you click on the TV on Saturday, he is the worst guy. Period.
Like this whole boogeyman thing, look, that was a fixation of our imagination, right? Like, you never really saw the boogeyman. I played against Brady, bro. Be for real.
Yeah,
that ain't no
that's
fake
years
boogeyman.
ago. What do you mean years ago?
They won the Super Bowl last year.
They just won the Super Bowl, and people act like he won the Super Bowl like 4 years ago.
It's been a year yet,
Okay,
and they've
you know what? I'm gonna make it easy for you. Tom Brady is Michael Jordan with the Wizards. If you're okay with that, then that's what he is.
Did Michael Jordan win with?
There are people who are Michael Jordan fans that wish that the Wizard years never happened. Even though Michael Jordan was still decent in Washington, he was nowhere near as effective, especially when it came to getting to the playoffs and winning in the playoffs in Washington. Come on. It's such a slap in the face, man. Look at Marcelo's face. He got that bug-eyed look, man.
Wizards? No. Well, then he ain't Michael Jordan with the Wizards.
But Tom Brady ain't won yet.
He won last year.
No. He's talking about this year.
Right now.
He's talking about right.
Nobody's won this year. Like, how can you count your chickens before they hatch, bro? Like he said, they didn't win. They won last year. But we're talking about this year. Nobody won yet. The playoffs haven't even started officially. Like, we're leading up to it. That's funny.
Right now, it's not a lifetime achievement award. Tom Brady. Right now. Tom Brady threw more interceptions than touchdowns last year.
Michael Jordan averaged 20 with the Wizards.
Thank you. Come on,
Now,
y'all.
it's the 11th best team. Brady is not the 11th best. I look at his supporting cast, and if you just go through every team.
Now, I'm glad TJ Houshmandzadeh touched on that, because at the start of this season, even people in the media said New England has never had to reach into free agency and pull out as many offensive linemen as they did this year. They had injury after injury after injury to key offensive linemen, and they had to reach into free agency and try to put together a somewhat decent offensive line, the best they could with what they had to work with. And that offensive line was terrible. They could not protect Brady. There was a game, I believe it was against Houston, where late in the game, they were trying to keep New England from scoring late in the game, and they sent the three-man rush. They sent the three-man rush against 5 offensive linemen, and they got to Brady. As soon as Brady snapped the ball and took his, 3-step drop, as soon as he finished his drop, there was somebody in the backfield. 3-man rush. There was somebody back there. So you mean to tell me that it had nothing to do with the offensive line? The run game has been non-existent this year. That had nothing to do with the offensive line either. That was Brady. Brady is the reason why the run game doesn't work. They had to put together the best offensive line they could with what they had to work with. They had multiple injuries. What was it? What was the number? Skip Bayless said that they signed 30 wide receivers between offseason, preseason, leading up to the season. They signed I believe they picked up, they tried out, not signed. That was ridiculous. They picked up and tried to try out 30 wide receivers. 30 wide receivers. There were people that were excited for Demaryius Thomas. Demaryius Thomas, who just broke his fucking neck not too long ago. And they were excited for Demaryius Thomas because New England had no wide receivers, man, at all. At all. So, I don't know, man. I'm going to tell you.
What if he had Mike Thomas or Alvin Kamara? What if he had you give him the Ravens?
Good point, man. If you people like to swap teams and shit. Like if you put Aaron Rodgers in New England with Belichick and you put Brady in Green Bay, who you think gonna win more and all this? You put fucking Brady in New Orleans and you put Drew Brees in fucking New England. Who do you think will win more this season? Better yet, who do you think has a better shot at winning a title? Because right now, Drew Brees looks like a favorite to win. I mean, this dude is looking phenomenal this year. And he has arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL on his team right now. He has some of the best supporting cast at wide receivers. He has the best rushing plus receiving back in the NFL on his team right now. I mean, Christian McCaffrey had a great year this year, which thoroughly surprised me. But I think Christian McCaffrey is still a level below Alvin Kamara. I'm sorry, he just is. Alvin Kamara is a beast. So I'm sorry, man. I I think there are levels to this when we talk about team talent. All right, and I don't think that defense is good enough to win games on their own. They're going to need the offense to score.
Supporting cast. You give them Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, Dalvin Cook, Kyle Rudolph, Irvs, he wouldn't be the 11th best quarterback. He has Julian Edelman to help him and nobody else, really. That's it. Everybody else supporting cast is much better than Brady's. Brady doesn't have...
And N'Keal Harry had somewhat a rocky season, but that's not even his fault. He was, injured the first 5-6 weeks of the season? And anybody who's watched New England over the years know that you have to... It's a process. You have to be there. It's about repetition. You get better through repetition. Julian Edelman was a wide receiver on that team for years. On the bench, special teams. Before he was actually inserted in as a starting wide receiver. I mean, he was there for 4 or 5 years? Before he was able to actually be a starting wide receiver. So, I mean, it's a process. So, I mean, this kid is playing well, given the fact that he wasn't there for the first 5 or 6 weeks. And knowing how complicated the system in New England is, I mean, come on, man.
That help. The Patriots as a team offensively are bad. Brady's going to take all the blame because that's just what it is. What Marcellus said is right. If that defense comes through, they're going to be okay. Last year, they won a Super Bowl, was it 13-10?
13-3.
And so 13-3. So
in spite of him.
In
spite of him. In spite of him.
He didn't play in spite of his...
Yeah, Brady had that Super Bowl showed, it just showed a lot. It showed a lot just how much the game is wearing on Brady. Because I think Brady can start great during the season, but the more he plays throughout the season, the more you're going to start seeing wear and tear, the more you're going to start seeing the mileage. I mean, it's kind of like LeBron James right now, where LeBron looks great now, but let's get into February, March, April, and let's see how he looks come playoff time.
Supporting cast, he was able to get it done, but he had Julian Edelman and Gronkowski. This year is just Edelman. His supporting cast is so weak.
And not even Edelman, man, because Edelman is playing like he's still injured. I would not be surprised if Edelman is still hurt and he just came back early. He is gaining no separation. He does not look like Edelman. Either he is still hurt or all those years of taking that pounding from those defensive backs is finally catching up to him.
It makes him look that bad.
Stephon Gilmore goes out there and does what he did last year against Brandon Cooks in the Super Bowl. And all those opportunities when he has shut down.
I wouldn't even blame that on Brandon Cooks, to be honest. I think Jared Goff put Brandon Cooks in some bad situations because he either missed them or he threw it to him late. Like he missed Brandon Cooks so many. That Super Bowl should have been the Rams because there were so many opportunities just for Cooks alone that Jared Goff missed on.
Now, offenses this year, that's the same old Patriots.
Look, I'm going to lean towards 11th best team. I really firmly believe that.
Okay.
I don't know if I believe Kirk Cousins is better than Tom Brady, but everybody else is. So he's maybe the 10th best quarterback.
So Kirk Cousins is better than Josh Allen?
Yeah, Kirk Cousins better than Josh Allen and
might as well throw Tom Brady in there too.
I'm just saying, Brady's number 10,
right?
You know, Kirk Cousins and Josh Allen are 11 as well. Break them however you want. But the 11th best team is the New England Patriots. And I couldn't remember, in that top 4, did you include the Saints in your top 4?
Yes. San Francisco, New Orleans, Baltimore, KC.
That's 5 then.
Yeah, the Patriots
4 seeds no, the Saints are in the wild card round. And so the top 4 seeds, no, you didn't include the...
No, Green Bay is not better than...
Okay, gotcha. All right, my bad.
You
my
agree
bad.
you with me?
No, I don't agree. But I hear your point. Green Bay is suspect. They're better than the Patriots this year. Look, they're the 11th best team, and unfortunately, they're not playing Buffalo. They're playing Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's... Derrick Henry and these guys are going to break their back.
See, and this is what people are getting fucked up about the Titans. I said earlier this season, when I was doing my predictions on here, I did a prediction for the Tennessee-Cleveland game, which was week 1, and I gave my prediction, and I said I believe Tennessee will win that game because Tennessee has a habit of looking like a great team They have a habit of fooling you into believing they're a great team, and then when the real test comes to show if they can really handle it, they fall under. They fall through. Now, when Tennessee played Cleveland week 1, I mean, people thought this team was, they thought this team could do some damage. And then they fizzled out at some point. And then when they played New England and beat New England, fizzled out again. Wait, did they play New England this year? I got to go back and look at the schedule. I believe they played New England. I could be wrong. I could be thinking about last year, to be honest. Sometimes I get my games mixed up. But they look great sometimes, but then they look very, 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 very average. Kind of like the Atlanta Falcons. They're like the Atlanta Falcons of the AFC.
Look, this game will be close for a while, and then the frustration's going to set in. Those receivers are going to continue dropping balls. Tom Brady can see it. He's been talking about it all year, and the inevitable is going to happen. Frustration is going to set in. They're going to start to panic. The Patriots are going to do panic moves.
You have a business.
I never thought I'd see the Patriots do what they did last week at the end of the game, where they
the laterals
and all that. It was embarrassing. I never thought I was.
They know.
Try and win.
They're big players.
That doesn't make any. Why is that embarrassing? How many teams throughout the course of a season lateral at the end of games when it's a one-score game and you have no time? But it's embarrassing when New England does it because we're not used to seeing New England in that situation where they have to win like that. Oh, but that's embarrassing though. And see, and this is why a guy like me, man, a guy that is straying further and further away from actually watching sports altogether, this is why a guy like me wants this team to win. Because I really love watching people get their comeuppance. Like, I really love seeing it. I really love seeing it, man, because you shit on a guy. They've been shitting on Brady his entire career. They've been talking about this guy. Oh, man, he was a laughingstock at the draft combine. The worst combine by a quarterback ever. Or by a player, period, ever. And then they shit on his career. Oh, man, he's only winning because of Belichick. He's only winning because he got a great defense there. I mean, they have at no point during Brady's career have people had just settled in and said, you know what, this dude was able to accomplish something so magnificent that we've never seen before. A late NFL draft pick who was an afterthought gets his first start as an NFL quarterback for a season and leads that team to a Super Bowl, and they win it. And then he goes on to win 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, which I believe hasn't been done in a very long time. I believe since the Pittsburgh Steelers. I could be wrong. I mean, San Fran or Dallas might have done it. I'm not sure. Not going to really try to rack my brain on it. But I believe the last that I remember was the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 70s. Was the last team to win 3 championships in 4 years. Brady did it. He accomplished that. He helped that team accomplish that. And never have I heard just the collective say, this guy is special. He's been special. There's always some excuse why he was able to accomplish these things. There's always some reason why he was able to do this. Either he's cheating, or it's Belichick, or he had Randy Moss and all this other shit. Like, it makes me root for a guy. Cause I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest. When I watched that 2007 championship game between the New England Patriots and the New York Giants, and the Giants won that game, even though I was going for the Patriots to win, even though when the Giants won that game, a part of me was thrilled to see that. How nobody gave the Giants a chance at the start of the playoffs. They fought their way through the wild card, the conference. I mean, that was a side of Eli I thought I was gonna see for a long time, which I was disappointed that. I mean, this dude turned out to be such a fraud. To watch that team beat an undefeated team in probably one of the greatest upsets in sports history, if we're talking about one game, you have one game to get the job done. One of the greatest upsets in sports history. For them to win that game, a part of me was thrilled to see that. I mean, that later washed away when I realized New England they turned out to be one of the biggest choke artists. That team was the biggest choke artist I've ever seen, man. I mean, then that settled in. So there's a part of me that I love to see guys who are constantly berated for whatever reason, looked at as not good enough, rise to the occasion and actually get the job done. I mean, movies are based on concepts like this. And Brady has built his career on it. And this is why he's still motivated. This is why he's still motivated to play. Because people are still doubting him. He spent his entire career trying to prove people wrong. Even in college, and I bring this up a lot when I talk about Brady, man, but in college and at Michigan, that guy was special. I mean, his coach didn't appreciate how special he was because he kept benching his ass whenever he found somebody that he felt was better. But turns out wasn't as good as that guy you keep benching. And loyal Tom, just like he's been in New England, loyal Tom did what he felt was right for the team. He did what he was asked. You gotta root for a guy like that. You gotta put whatever insecure feelings you have towards a person like that, and you have to appreciate what he brings to the sport. Because I don't care if games are rigged. I don't care if there's some numerical system at work. I don't care. For a person like me, the basis of sports is its beauty is the inner workings of how sports work. I mean, there's a beauty to it. There's a beauty to it that makes you appreciate things. I mean, I've never seen a profession in the world that brings the joyous feelings out, but also brings the hate out of people. I mean, it's one of the most emotional things in the world that we have, that even people that act like they don't enjoy sitting down watching a basketball game or a football game actually enjoy themselves to sit there and watch professional athletes who can do stuff that only a percentage of the world can do. I mean, it's beautiful. And I think Brady is the poster child, he's like the culmination of what it is that makes sports great. Because we're talking about a guy who was shitted on his entire career, rise to the occasion time after time. Now, I mean, I did get a little sappy here at the end, man, but I mean, sports in its essence is beautiful. If you take out all that other shit, all the corporate shit, all that other shit that people like to throw in there, and just appreciate the sport for what it is, man, I don't know, man. You got to root for a guy like Tom. You got to root for a team like New England. And I hope it doesn't end this weekend. I hope it doesn't end this year. I would love to see him put them in their place one more time. It would be awesome. But do I think that will happen? Probably not. Now, I know this is a long video, and I'm pretty sure there's very few people that actually get through these things. But if anybody does, I appreciate it.